Buddhism, one of the world's major religions, traces its origins to the life and teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, who later became known as the Buddha. The story of Buddhism begins in ancient India, around 2,500 years ago, in the northeastern part of the Indian subcontinent. Siddhartha Gautama, born into a royal family in Lumbini, present-day Nepal, around the 6th century BCE, led a life of luxury, shielded from the harsh realities of the world. However, his encounter with the realities of human suffering, aging, sickness, and death profoundly impacted him. Seeking answers to the fundamental questions of existence and the nature of suffering, Siddhartha renounced his princely life and embarked on a spiritual quest. For years, Siddhartha pursued various ascetic practices and sought wisdom from renowned teachers, yet he found no lasting solution to the pervasive suffering he witnessed. Eventually, while meditating under a Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, he experienced a profound awakening, becoming enlightened. This marked the birth of Buddhism, with Siddhartha now known as the Buddha, or the Enlightened One. The Buddha's teachings, known as the Dharma, revolved around the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. The Four Noble Truths elucidated the nature of suffering, dukkha, its causes, the possibility of its cessation, and the path leading to the end of suffering, enlightenment or nirvana. The Eightfold Path outlined a practical guide for ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom, essential for achieving liberation from suffering. The Buddha's teachings resonated with various societal strata, attracting followers from diverse backgrounds. He traveled extensively throughout northeastern India, delivering discourses and establishing communities of monks, sangha, and nuns. These communities formed the nucleus of early Buddhist monasticism. The spread of Buddhism was facilitated by the patronage of rulers and merchants, as well as the efforts of dedicated missionaries and scholars. As the teachings gained popularity, several distinct branches or schools of Buddhism emerged, primarily due to differences in interpretations of the Buddha's teachings and the adoption of varying practices. Notably, Theravada Buddhism, considered the oldest surviving branch, emphasizes the preservation of the original teachings in the Pali Canon and focuses on personal liberation through individual effort and monastic discipline. Meanwhile, Mahayana Buddhism developed later, introducing new sutras, emphasizing compassion, and advocating for the enlightenment of all beings. Vajrayana Buddhism, prevalent in Tibet and surrounding regions, incorporates esoteric practices and ritualistic elements. The history of Buddhism extends across centuries, witnessing the rise and fall of empires, socio-political changes, and cultural adaptations. It spread beyond the Indian subcontinent to various parts of Asia, including Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, China, Korea, Japan, and Tibet, where it underwent further transformations and assimilated with local beliefs and customs. As Buddhism traversed different regions, it adapted to diverse cultures, giving rise to a rich tapestry of traditions, rituals, and philosophical developments. This adaptability contributed to its resilience and continued relevance across continents and epochs, shaping the spiritual, cultural, and intellectual landscapes of many societies. As Buddhism expanded across Asia, it encountered diverse cultures and underwent transformations, resulting in the emergence of different schools and branches. The spread of Buddhism was facilitated by trade routes, missionary activities, royal patronage, and the translation of texts into various languages, contributing to its proliferation. In India, where Buddhism originated, the religion experienced periods of flourishing and decline. It gained prominence during the Mauryan Empire, notably under Emperor Ashoka, who embraced Buddhism and promoted its principles of non-violence, tolerance, and social welfare. However, with the subsequent rise of other religious and philosophical movements, coupled with internal divisions within the Buddhist community, Buddhism gradually declined in its land of origin. Meanwhile, Buddhism took root and flourished in other regions. In Sri Lanka, Theravada Buddhism thrived and became deeply entrenched, preserving the Pali Canon and monastic traditions. Across Southeast Asia, countries like Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam embraced Theravada Buddhism, influencing their cultures, art, and social structures. Mahayana Buddhism spread extensively in East Asia, finding strongholds in China, Korea, and Japan. In China, Buddhism encountered Confucianism and Taoism, leading to syncretism and the development of Chan Zen Buddhism, Pure Land Buddhism, and Tiantai, Tendai Buddhism. Chinese monks journeyed to East Asia, where Buddhism merged with indigenous beliefs and practices, giving rise to distinct forms of the faith. Korea and Japan adopted Buddhism from China, with each country fostering unique expressions: Seon, Zen, Buddhism in Korea, and Zen, Pure Land, and Nichiren Buddhism in Japan. These forms of Buddhism exerted profound influence on the cultural, artistic, and philosophical landscapes of East Asian societies. In Central Asia, Buddhism spread along the Silk Road, reaching regions such as Afghanistan and parts of Central Asia. The fusion of Buddhist teachings with local traditions led to the development of Greco-Buddhist art and Gandhara art, showcasing a synthesis of Hellenistic and Buddhist artistic styles. Tibet became a bastion of Vajrayana Buddhism, evolving into a unique blend of Mahayana teachings, tantric practices, and indigenous Bon traditions. Tibetan Buddhism incorporated elaborate rituals, mandalas, and esoteric teachings, with prominent figures like Padmasambhava contributing to its propagation. Throughout its history, Buddhism encountered periods of persecution, revival, adaptation, and scholarly debates. The decline of Buddhism in India, the spread of Islam, and political upheavals in various regions led to the erosion of Buddhist influence in certain areas, while the faith thrived and continued to evolve in others. Buddhism's resilience and adaptability enabled it to transcend geographical boundaries, sustaining its relevance and significance as a spiritual path that resonates with seekers worldwide. Its teachings on compassion, mindfulness, and the pursuit of inner peace continue to inspire millions, fostering a global community committed to the alleviation of suffering and the attainment of enlightenment. In the modern era, Buddhism has experienced a resurgence and garnered interest beyond Asia, spreading to new regions through globalization, migration, and intercultural exchanges. The teachings of Buddhism have found a receptive audience in Western countries, where mindfulness practices, meditation techniques, and Buddhist philosophy have gained popularity. The 19th and 20th centuries witnessed a revival of Buddhist traditions in Asia and the re-establishment of monastic institutions. Countries such as Thailand, Sri Lanka, Japan, and Tibet saw renewed interest in Buddhist teachings and cultural practices, coinciding with efforts to preserve ancient texts and revive monastic education. The encounter between Buddhism and the West has led to academic studies, cross-cultural dialogues, and the integration of Buddhist concepts into psychology, neuroscience, and holistic approaches to well-being. The practice of mindfulness-based therapies, rooted in Buddhist meditation, gained recognition in mental health treatments and stress reduction programs. The Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism, emerged as a global advocate for peace, compassion, and interfaith dialogue. His teachings on ethics, secular ethics, and universal responsibility resonated with audiences worldwide, transcending religious boundaries. Contemporary Buddhism exhibits a diverse landscape, with traditional practices coexisting alongside modern interpretations and adaptations. This diversity manifests in various forms, ranging from traditional rituals in monastic settings to secular mindfulness programs tailored for everyday life. The challenges of modernity, technological advancements, and socioeconomic changes have posed new questions for Buddhism. Scholars and practitioners grapple with reconciling ancient teachings with contemporary realities, addressing issues of social justice, environmental concerns, and ethical dilemmas. Buddhism's presence on the global stage continues to evolve, with efforts to preserve cultural heritage, engage in interfaith dialogues, and promote social harmony. The teachings of Buddhism, emphasizing compassion, wisdom, and interconnectedness, offer valuable insights in navigating the complexities of the modern world. As Buddhism enters the 21st century, it remains a dynamic and evolving faith, adapting to diverse cultural contexts while preserving its core teachings. The quest for inner peace, spiritual fulfillment, and the alleviation of suffering remains at the heart of Buddhism, guiding individuals on a path of self-discovery and compassionate action. The legacy of Buddhism, its rich philosophical underpinnings, contemplative practices, and ethical principles, continues to inspire seekers worldwide, transcending boundaries and contributing to a global tapestry of spirituality and human understanding. Buddhism's enduring legacy lies not only in its historical journey, but also in its potential to offer profound insights and guidance in an ever-changing world.